5 ordinary words are quietly poisoning your prayers right now, and you have been calling them faith. You have said them. I have said them. You kneel by your bed tonight and start the same list you always start. Word for word, you decree healing, declare increase, and decree favor over your family. It feels bold. It feels like real faith. But somewhere in that repetition, a warning from Jesus himself is sitting completely unheard. By the end of this video, you will know exactly which of these 5 words has already slipped into your own prayers, and the one sentence Jesus gave you to say instead. We're going to look at all 5 words, one at a time, and exactly why each one has quietly slipped past you. Stay through all 5, because the 5th one is the one Job's own wife already tried. And Scripture never let it go unanswered. This isn't a video about doubting whether God hears you. It's a video about which words might actually be getting in the way. Somewhere online, you watched someone confident and successful say they manifested their breakthrough. And it sounded like strength. So you started saying it too. Everyone in your prayer group already talks this way. So questioning it feels like questioning the group itself. Nobody warned you that Scripture already has a name for this overlooked formula to force God's hand, quietly slipping in unnoticed. This isn't about doubting your sincerity. It's about noticing an unseen pattern hiding inside it. Scripture says it plainly. Do not keep on babbling like pagans, for they think they will be heard because of their many words. Read that again. Pagan, not passionate, not bold, pagan. Jesus wasn't condemning a group of people here. He exposed a way of praying, one built on repetition instead of trust. That's Matthew 6, verse 7, spoken by Jesus himself. 2 names, 2 verses, 5 words hiding between them. Picture that list you keep saying word for word every single night. We're coming back to it. 5 words, 1 ancient warning, and a prayer Jesus already gave you that nobody taught you to actually use. Word 1 is decree. You say it like a spiritual command. Certain the words themselves change what happens next. Your hands lift slightly without you noticing. The way a preacher's hands lift, as if posture itself could add force to the words. A woman 2 pews over says the exact same thing every single Sunday. Convinced the repetition itself is what finally moves heaven. Why does the repetition feel so necessary? Because underneath it sits a quiet doubt that you were ever heard the first time you asked. This is the exact mechanism Jesus named. Treating many words as leverage that pressures God to respond. The way pagan prophets once shouted for hours to force an answer. Somewhere along the way, decree stopped meaning I trust what God can do, and started meaning I control what God will do. Your voice gets louder each time you repeat the phrase. As though volume were the missing ingredient, decree was never meant to be a switch you flip on God. It was meant to be trust spoken out loud. Trust doesn't need volume. It doesn't need repetition. It just needs a heart willing to guard its own honesty. So tonight, instead of decreeing, try saying it the way Jesus modeled it. Your will be done. Sit with that for 1 second before we move on. If that one already sounds familiar, drop a single word in the comments right now. Which one hit first? But decree isn't the only word doing this. The next one hides in almost the exact same sentence. Word 2 is declare. Every night you repeat the same declaration, almost word for word. The sameness itself feeling like proof you're doing it right. I once sat with a woman from our congregation who admitted almost embarrassed that she'd stopped counting how many times a night she repeated her declaration. She just knew it had to be enough. Centuries ago, a group of prophets did the same thing louder. Shouting the same cry for hours, certain volume and repetition would finally force a response. Their throats went raw, their voices cracked. And still, Scripture says there was no voice, no answer, no response at all. That's 1 Kings 18. And Scripture records the answer that came, nothing, until they stopped. If you've made it this far, stay with me. The words waiting in the next 3 items are the ones almost nobody connects to this pattern at all. Declaring isn't wrong. Declaring as a technique to manufacture an outcome is. A confident prayer and a manipulative one can use nearly identical words. The difference is entirely in what you believe the words are doing. Jesus didn't ban confident prayer. He banned prayer that treats God like a vending machine that only responds to the right number of words. Say it once, honestly. Then let your hands actually open in trust instead of repeating it into the ceiling. Notice what actually changes in the room when you stop performing the words. The ceiling doesn't answer differently, but you finally do. Notice if that one landed. The next word is the one borrowed from somewhere Scripture never intended. If even one of these words has already felt true tonight, take a breath before we continue. Lord, help me see clearly what I've been missing. 2 words are left, and the last one is the one you'd least expect to be dangerous. Word 3 is manifest. You've probably always assumed this one is the odd one out on this list. A self-help word that snuck in, not really a prayer word at all. It's actually the one that's changed your prayers the most. You picked this one up from a video that had nothing to do with faith at all. And it slid into your prayers without you ever noticing the shift. You whisper, "I'm manifesting my breakthrough" under your breath at your desk. The same posture, the same closed eyes, borrowed wholesale from a self-help stage. On the surface, it sounds spiritual because it borrows spiritual-sounding words. Underneath, structurally, it's the same babbling Jesus already named. Words treated as a mechanism instead of a relationship. The tragedy isn't that you wanted a breakthrough, it's that you started asking the wrong thing to deliver it. The universe doesn't know your name. The Father you're actually praying to already does. So next time, catch yourself right at the threshold and name what you actually need out loud, honestly, to God. Not into the air, not into a vague universe. Manifest promises a universe that responds to your energy. Prayer promises a Father who already knows your need before you speak it. Not a formula, not an audience. A Father. Let that contrast sit for a second. The 4th word doesn't sound spiritual at all. It sounds like something you'd say to a friend. Word 4 is deserve. After a hard week, you pray, "God, I deserve this, after everything I've done for you," and it feels justified in the moment. It's the same sentence you've heard a coworker use about a promotion, or a friend use about a relationship they knew wasn't healthy. That single word quietly turns prayer into a ledger, a transaction where grace gets replaced by an invoice only you are keeping. Deserve keeps score of every prayer, every fast, every good deed, and grace was never supposed to need a scoreboard at all. Scripture doesn't leave this feeling unanswered. It goes directly at the deserve mentality with one of its clearest statements about grace. Scripture says it directly. "It is by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not from yourselves, it is the gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast." That's Ephesians 2, verses 8 and 9. Grace was never something you earned into existence by deserving it. Grace, by definition, is the one gift that can never be earned into being owed. So trade the ledger for an open hand. An open hand can't hold a debt. Pray from gratitude instead of a receipt you think God owes you. Here's a simple discernment test. Real prayer doesn't repeat itself to be heard, doesn't do the math on what you're owed, and doesn't need an audience to witness how it sounds. You can still work hard, still fast, still serve. None of that is wrong. You just stop presenting the bill to God afterward. Take a moment and check which one that was for you. If you've ever heard your own mother say, "I deserve this after everything I've done," you already know exactly how normal this word has become. Everything so far has been about the words you say when you still believe they're working. This last one is about the word that slips out when you've stopped believing that at all. Word 5 is the heaviest one, cursed. A man had already lost his children, his health, and everything he owned in a single brutal week. His own wife looked at him and said the one thing no one expects to hear from someone who's supposed to love you. She had buried 10 children that same week. Her grief was not smaller than his. It simply came out as a curse instead of a lament. Scripture records her exact words. Are you still maintaining your integrity? Curse God and die. Notice what she didn't say. Not give up. Not walk away. She specifically told him to weaponize his own words against God. You mutter the same posture tonight, half joking, when nothing changes. Maybe I'm just cursed. Do you really think Job's wife was the only one who ever reached for those words? You're not in a desert covered in ash. You're in your own bed, and the posture arrives anyway. Job never actually cursed God. He brought his real anguish to God instead in raw, honest words. And that honesty is exactly what Scripture calls righteous. For chapter after chapter, Job argues, questions, and even accuses. And God never once tells him to soften his tone, only to keep bringing it directly to him. Job's honesty didn't get him struck down. It got him a direct conversation with God that lasted for chapters. So instead of a despair curse muttered under your breath, bring the same words honestly to God, like the Psalms do. I don't understand this, and it hurts. That single honest sentence carries more real faith than 100 repetitions of a phrase you don't even feel anymore. Let all 5 of these sit together for a moment before we finish. Remember that list you've said word for word every single night? It was never really about the words themselves. Not the words, not the volume, the posture beneath every single one of them. 5 words can sound like faith and still be nothing more than fear wearing better vocabulary. Looking back, the words that sounded most confident tonight hid the least trust, and the one that sounded weakest, I don't understand this, and it hurts, turns out to have been the strongest thing said all night. Real faith says, I trust you regardless. Performance faith says, I need the right words to make this work. After 5 heavy words, you might expect the real answer to be complicated. It isn't. Right after his warning, Jesus gave his own followers something else entirely. Not silence, not incantation, but a real honest prayer any of us can pray. It starts simply, Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. No decree, no declaration, just a real address to a real Father. That's the Lord's Prayer. Matthew 6, verses 9 through 13. The third door between empty repetition and giving up on prayer altogether. You don't have to perform your way into being heard. You already are. Whatever weight you've been carrying, hoping the right words would finally set it down. You can actually put it down now, tonight, for real, and if you catch yourself slipping back into the old words next week. Old habits feel strange to put down simply because they're familiar, not because anything is wrong with you. That isn't proof this didn't work. That's just the moment to bring it honestly back to God again. You are not the only one who has said these 5 words without realizing it, and you won't be the last person this video reaches in time. So if you've been quietly performing decree, declare, manifest, deserve, or cursed, you can put every one of those down tonight. If even one of these 5 words was already sitting in your own prayers, write this in the comments as your own declaration. Lord, teach me to pray honestly, not just loudly. That's not just a comment. That's a prayer, and it's heard, and if someone you know needs to hear this tonight, send it to them. Don't forget to subscribe to Undercurrent Faith, so we can keep walking through Scripture's old warnings together, one modern disguise at a time. God bless you, my brother, my sister. Until next time.